everybody. There we go. Some extra light. I'm just working on getting everything else all set up. Someday I'll have a good, camera that I can make talk to my laptop better. Because right now I'm still just using my phone. So I can't really do anything fancy. Let's see. Peanut found a bug. It was just a little fly. There we go. Looks like I already have a viewer and it's not even me. Welcome. Let me just set up some music really quick and then we can get started. I hope everybody is having a good day and they get to eat some delicious food. I hope you're not too lonely. There we go. Okay. So right now I have my stuffing in the oven. There we go. So right now I have my stuffing in the oven because that was the one thing that I felt like I would need to start actually ahead of time before I started streaming. But it only needs like 20 more minutes in there. So by the time my bird is ready to go in, then the stuffing will already be out. So let's get that out and start prepping for it. The first thing I'm gonna do for my bird is get like a butter mixture thing ready to go. Because what I got for myself for Thanksgiving, because it's just me here, is I got myself a little Cornish game hen. So since that takes less than an hour to cook, I don't have to put it in the oven until like 5. So I'm gonna do it the way that I did my first couple of turkeys, which is you take some butter and you melt it so that it's nice and soft, and then you mix in like salt and pepper and garlic, that kind of thing. And then you can smear it like not only all over the top of the bird, but you can also get under its skin and get it under there too, which makes it even better. But I'm also gonna take some stuff that I learned for last year, which is that if you spatchcock the bird, which is to cut its spine out and like flatten it out, it'll cook a lot more evenly and faster. So we're also gonna do that to this little bird. But first, let's get the butter ready. Hi Marty, I'm glad you're here. I'm always happy when you can hang out while I'm doing stuff, even though you're all so busy. I wish there wasn't so much like paper on the outside of heads of garlic, because there's all this like, it's so messy. But I need the garlic. I called my grandma today everybody in the fam is doing pretty good. I'm really glad that my grandparents are like smart and understand that there's a pandemic happening and not throwing a fit that they can't go hang out with family. Excellent. I wish I could go see family, but I usually don't like to travel during the holidays at the best of times because it's just a pain in the ass. Alright. That is some butter. We're gonna put some salt. Good amount of pepper. Sage. Excuse me. And thyme. Excellent. Welcome to the stream. It's super cool to have 3 whole viewers. I say 3 because one of the 4 viewers listed is definitely me. I'm crushing up some garlic. Let me angle the camera down. There. Crushing up some garlic. Welcome. So this is garlic for flavoring my bird. But Sam, it's so late in the day. How could you be just seasoning your bird now? I'm making a Cornish game hen because I'm the only one home. And it only has to cook for like 45 minutes. So I just need to get these flavor bombs ready to go. And then I can start working on the bird. Excellent. I think that'll be good for the butter mixture. Now it's time to start on the bird. Give me a sec. So this is my cute little Cornish game hen. I need to get it out of this plastic and then I can start doing stuff to it. Put that there. Okay. So there's most of this Cornish game hen is ready to go, but there is some ice on the inside that I need to get out. So I've got a tasty little bird, but I have some more work I have to do to it before I can start getting it ready to go in the oven. So we want to dry it off real good. I hope you guys are okay with this camera angle for a while because my hands are covered in dead bird juice. Alright. Oh, it's so little. I've never cooked a Cornish game hen for myself. I'm really excited. So wobbly. Alright. Alright, so I found its spine. So what I'm gonna do is cut along each side of this critter's spine, and then I can like crack the bird open. Man, this is way easier than when I did it with a turkey last year. There we go. See? Little bird spine. And now I can just kind of crack this bird on open. And it's just a little guy. Just a little friend. I'm gonna put this in a bowl in the sink because even though it's just a little spine, I can still use it for making like chicken stock. There's always a lot of good like cartilage stuff in the spine for that kind of thing. And then we're gonna dry this bird off a little bit more. And I forgot to get my pan. I forgot to get my pan nice and covered in tin foil so it would be easier to clean. So I'm gonna wash my hands really quick and get that taken care of and let this bird just kind of hang out here on the cutting board. I definitely feel like I maybe should have gotten 2 of these Cornish game hens to guarantee that I would have more leftovers. Because as it is, I'm gonna have so many leftover sides, but probably not very much leftover Cornish game hen meat. Alright, readjusting the camera a skosh. So what I've got to cook this bird on is a cookie sheet with a tray inside of it. First I need to coat this in tin foil. That way it's easier to clean. This little bird is not going to make nearly as big of a mess as like a full-size turkey would. But since I'm the only one here and I'm gonna have to clean everything up, I might as well make it easier on myself. There we go. And then this goes in there like that. And I'll give the whole thing a spray with some Pam. And then we'll be good to go. The stuffing is going to come out of the oven in about 10 minutes. And it's just going to hang out. back to this here little bird. I'm gonna dry it off a little bit more because getting it nice and dry is something that's gonna help get the flavor to adhere to it better. I didn't bother like seasoning it the day beforehand or anything because it's just one little bird. The only person it might disappoint is me, but I'm actually fairly confident that I am not going to fuck it up. Alright. So, now what we're going to do is figure out how to get under this skin. With most birds, you can just kind of tug and really gently detach the skin from like the breasts and other parts of it. And then that lets you do things like shove butter and spices and like lemon cloves, the garlic cloves or lemon pieces underneath the skin, and then that just helps it like absorb into the bird that you're cooking better. It works with chicken, it works with turkey, it works with this little guy. It just depends on what you're cooking and what kind of flavors you want. There we go. All right. And now I'm gonna get this spatula out of the way and just straight up use my hands to get butter on the inside of that. So this is a mixture of butter, salt and pepper, and some, actually I should probably salt, well, I'll do this first since I'm already covered in chicken juice. Let's see. It's butter, salt and pepper, 3 crushed garlic cloves, a little bit of thyme, and a little bit of sage. And I'm just going to go ahead and get a little handful of butter and lift up the skin and just kind of smear it all in there. Like massage it real good into the meat and stuff. Okay. So I've got plenty of that under the skin now. My laptop is giving me lo-fi Christmas music. I'm gonna solve that here in a sec, partially because I'm not sure if it's okay for the stream. Alright, so this bird has a whole bunch of butter shoved under its skin. I'm gonna wash my hands really quick and do some more work on this in just a second. washed my hands. I'm back now. So what I forgot to do before I started on this bird was to salt and pepper the top of it. Yes, I do have Sans over there. I'm pretty sure the Unearthly Fool bought it for me, actually. And by for me, I mean my husband. Alright. Let's flip it over and put some salt on this side, too. Alright. Let's go ahead and smear some more butter on this side. It's not going to stick very well, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm making myself a little Cornish game hen because I'm the only one home for Thanksgiving. But I still wanted some kind of delicious bird. Alright, that's good enough. Smear it all over the outside. This is going to be so tasty. It's been a long time since I've had this style of roast bird. I forgot to change the music. Oh well. Okay. Now we're going to move this guy over to this cookie sheet. And we're going to make sure that the little wing tips are tucked underneath of it. That way they don't get too crispy in the oven. All right. Up we go. There. Here we go. Nice and tucked. It's hard to get them to stay because everything is so slippery with butter. Come on. Work with me. There we go. All right. Delicious and buttery, garlicky. This is going to be the bomb. All right. The timer is about to go off for my stuffing, but I'm covered in butter, so I'm not going to be able to turn it off for a second. So, there we go. All right. Cleaned up my hands. Let me adjust the camera really quick. Sorry about the wobbles. Okay. All right, so here is my bird that's gonna go in the oven in a sec. This is my stuffing that got a little bit overcooked on top. Actually, it's kind of overcooked overall because I had, ooh, I want candied pecans too. So I made so much bread this week because I had to make 3 batches of sourdough because I took like orders for sourdough to sell to people for Thanksgiving. Excuse me. And then I made another batch of just regular dough or regular bread so that I could use it to make stuffing. But yesterday I ripped up all of the bread into pieces and toasted them so they'd be nice and crunchy. And then when you use the crunchy bread to make your stuffing, it doesn't get super soggy in the oven. So I did that, and then I left the bread pieces in the oven overnight because I didn't know where else to put them. And then when I woke up this morning, I had to turn the oven on to finish making all of my sourdough, and I forgot that the bread pieces for the stuffing was still in the oven, so they all got really dark. But I was like, well, I don't want to like have wasted my time making this bread, so let's just make the stuffing anyway and see how it turns out. So it's kind of dark, but I'm still confident it'll be tasty. Alright, so here is my little hen. I'm gonna stick a thermometer in the thickest part of the breast, I guess? Maybe I should do the thigh. In the thickest part of probably the thigh, because that looks thicker than the breast anyway. And then when it registers to like 155, I can pull it out of the oven and then just let it rest at room temp for like 10 minutes, and then it'll come up to the right temperature. And that'll stop it from getting overcooked. Just kind of stab that in there. Alright, so we're just going to stab that in there, and then I can put this whole shebang in the oven. There we go. I'm not going to bother setting a timer for it, because my little temperature gauge here will start beeping at me when it reaches the temperature that I set it to. All right. So that's ready to go. Let me angle this camera back up. Hello. Oof. All right, now I have to clean my counter up a little bit because it's covered in butter. Are you doing anything fun today, John, other than eating, what was it? Canned sweet potatoes? Okay, now I need this. Here we go. Oh, that's fair. It'd be like that sometimes. Oh no. So I just filled up my big Dutch oven with water so that I could use it to make some mashed potatoes. I'm gonna move my stuffing someplace else because I'm running out of counter space over here. I need to go get my potatoes. So usually when I make mashed potatoes, I use Yukon Gold potatoes because they're just really creamy and delicious. I couldn't go to the grocery store to get my own groceries for Thanksgiving because I live in the South and they don't believe that you need to wear masks. So I had to order my groceries online, and the person who did my shopping couldn't find any just like single potatoes. So I had to get a little bag of potatoes. And I'm not sure exactly how much mashed potato this is gonna make, but we'll see. I need to rinse these guys off to make sure there's no dirt on them. So you get to look at my back for a minute again. And then they're just gonna go straight in the pot. If they were big potatoes, I would chop them into pieces, but since they're so small, they're not gonna take that long to cook anyway. Sorry about this extremely uninteresting view of my back. While I have my back turned, why don't you, like, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat and I'll look at them when I turn back around. Or anything like that. Alright, so I've got my bunch of little potatoes that are all rinsed off, and they're just gonna go straight in this pot. I'm gonna salt the water a little bit, and then we just have to wait. Alright. And now the only other thing that I am cooking for myself for Thanksgiving is I'm gonna make some like sauteed green beans with bacon. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that. I need another one of those. And here's my green beans. So I didn't use this knife for the Cornish game hen at all. I'm just gonna rinse some of the garlic stuff off of it and then use that to start breaking up these green beans. Angle the camera down. There we go. I'm doing green beans because I wanted to make sure I got like more vegetables to up in this meal. Because like mashed potatoes are great, but they don't really count as a vegetable, you know? And there's like I have like some diced carrot and some diced celery in my stuffing, but that also doesn't really count as vegetables. So all I'm doing is cutting off the tough little ends of these guys and then cutting them in half. And then I'm gonna rinse them in the sink to make sure there's no like bits on them. And then I'm gonna slice up a couple pieces of bacon and throw them in a pan. I'm gonna let the bacon cook a little bit first, that way some of the fat will like render out of it, and then I can just throw the green beans in with that and it'll all just cook together. Ooh, that was the wrong bit. Ooh, taters and chicken drippings. That sounds so good. I'm a big old lazy cheater though, and I got just like a package of like gravy mix because I'm not sure if that little Cornish game hen is gonna release enough liquid to make some real gravy out of it. So that'll be the last thing I take care of. Though also, I suppose that the concept of making sure I have veggies with this meal is a little bit undone when I'm going to be cooking it in bacon fat. Let's see. I already have my Christmas tree up, so I don't need to do that tomorrow. Usually I don't put the Christmas tree up until after Thanksgiving because I'm very much that one holiday at a time. But I wanted to take some cute pictures of my cats with the Christmas tree. And I wanted to get it taken care of early so that in case I was busy like after Christmas or after Thanksgiving, I would already have the pictures ready to go. But tomorrow I do need to like wrap up all of the presents. That way I can, try to get everything mailed out in time. Because almost every single thing that I have bought for Christmas is something that I have to send to literally the other side of the country. And since it's difficult to know how good the mail system is going to be, I need to get that sent out like as soon as I can manage. I'm gonna have way too much food here. That's okay. A lot of it I can probably freeze and then eat again and then eat later. Or at least I could do that to like the stuffing. Assuming the stuffing is any good. Water for the potatoes is about to start simmering, so that's nice. The bird is already at 110 degrees and it only needs to get up to 155. So maybe I should have waited even longer to put it in the oven. At least the green beans won't take long to cook once I actually get them on the stove. It's just getting them prepped for that. I could have prepped these before the stream started, but then I wouldn't get to hang out with you guys as much. I hope everybody has remembered to call their friends and family members that they wanted to talk to. I called my grandma earlier and she is okay. I talked to my parents yesterday and they're doing good. I'm really grateful that so much of my family is like smart enough to understand that there is in fact a pandemic happening, and no amount of bitching and whining is gonna change that. There's so many green beans here. I wish I could have gotten a smaller bag of green beans. My parents want me to join a call with them later tonight to play like some kind of game over Zoom. And I don't really want to because I talked to them yesterday and I would rather like after dinner maybe I'll stream video games or something. Feel like I already did my familial obligation of calling them, so like. And it's not like I don't like my parents, I just don't know how to talk to them. There were definitely a few times on the call yesterday where like we just all kind of sat in silence for a sec because nobody knew what to talk about, and I'm just like, guys, I'm autistic, throw me a bone. I haven't told my parents yet that I think I'm autistic, actually. Though, considering how my sister reacted, they probably wouldn't be that surprised. Oh, so before I did this stream, I went on YouTube. Or not YouTube, I went on Wikipedia and I did some quick research because I know that a lot of people hate American Thanksgiving because, you know, we committed genocide against the Native Americans, and that's kind of what this holiday is about, is the beginnings of that whole horrifying saga. So, you know, a lot of people understandably aren't into the holiday. I was doing research because as much as that is an incredibly valid response and criticism to Thanksgiving, it's also just like basically every culture on Earth has some kind of harvest festival that is always held around this time. So I did some research about that, and it turns out that the reason that we have Thanksgiving is because back in the late 1500s, or the mid to late 1500s, before the Church of England was going, there are just so many, like, quote-unquote church holidays that the Catholic Church celebrates, and it was actually huge, like, a huge drag on the people of Britain back then, because they're just, you're obligated to hold a big feast, and you're obligated to donate some amount of money to the church, and a lot of people just couldn't afford the like 50 some odd holidays that the Catholic Church wanted people to be celebrating all the time. So then the Reformation happened, where King Henry or whatever was like, hey, we're gonna have the Church of England instead, for multiple reasons, including that I want to get divorced, but also we'll have fewer holidays and we'll make it easier on the people. And then the Puritans were like, hey, I think there should be basically no holidays at all, because that takes away the focus from Jesus to us having to celebrate these holidays for the church. What they wanted to do was to celebrate days of fasting and days of Thanksgiving, which would be like, on days of fasting would be for when some kind of tragedy or, you know, something really serious and scary had happened, and they would fast for a while to be like, hey God, I'm sorry that we pissed you off somehow. Please make these terrible things stop happening. And then the days of Thanksgiving would be like, wow, thanks for being so rad, God. You made so much cool stuff happen for us. So then, as we all know, the Puritans then crossed the ocean to come to the new land of North America. I need to rinse off these green beans and then I'll continue talking about history. Green beans are going to hang out back there for a sec while I get the bacon started. Alright, so anyway, so the Puritans then came to the U.S., leaving Britain. I'm pretty sure that I've read that the Puritans weren't actually facing as much persecution as, you know, first grade history class usually tells you. But they came to the U.S. And then we pretty much all know the story from there. You know, they were having a bad time, and the indigenous people helped them out, and blah blah blah. They definitely had multiple days of giving thanks because, you know, there were times when they were like, hell yeah, God's doing us some favors here. We need to have a feast to thank him, and things like that. And then they also designated, you know, the first, like, the day that they actually landed in New England as being an official day of thanks. Okay. And according to the little bit that I read, that the indigenous people did in fact help them out during that winter of like 1621 or something like that. But then, you know, unfortunately, the British colonizers still did, you know, a genocide against them. So yeah. TLDR, I am still okay with Thanksgiving because most cultures on Earth celebrate some kind of holiday similar to Thanksgiving for their harvest. But people not wanting to celebrate it for historical violence reasons is perfectly reasonable. Alright. So I'm only using 3 pieces of bacon for my green beans. If I used all of this bacon, this dish would be more bacon than green bean, and that's not what I'm looking for. Alright, I need to wash my hands again because now I have bacon fingers. man, my bird is already almost done cooking. I definitely should have started it a little bit later. But that's okay. I'm gonna put the rest of this bacon in a bag and just keep it in the freezer. Bacon fingers. Ugh. I should have used a smaller bag. Oh well. That up a little bit. Okay. So, my potatoes are, you can't really see them, they're out of frame, but they're over here and they're cooking. I'm gonna let this bacon cook down for a little bit, and then I can put the green beans back in this pan. My turkey, or by turkey I mean Cornish game hen, is going to be ready in just a couple, well, it's going to be ready to come out of the oven in just a couple of minutes. But it's not going to be ready to eat for a little while after that. Okay, so I opened up the oven and checked on the bird, and even though the timer or the thermometer that I have in it does say that it's already 156 degrees in the fat part of the thigh, the top is still, it hasn't really developed very much color. So I am turning on the broiler so that hopefully some heat will emanate super hard off the top of the oven and give my birds some nice crispy skin. Hopefully it doesn't also smoke up my house. That would be really upsetting for me. But we'll see how it goes. I wish I didn't have to be the one to clean up my kitchen later, but I'm the only one here. I think what I'll do after dinner is I'm going to text my dad and let him know that I'm not going to be joining them for the game tonight. Because I'm just going to be so tired after cooking so much and cleaning up the kitchen afterward. And then I'm just going to play Fallout. The butter that I smeared all over the bird is bubbling in the oven. I'm not worried about anything catching on fire, but I am worried about it smoking really hard. And then the ridiculously powerful fire alarms in my house will go off, and then I'll have a sensory overload and have a bad time. I would turn on the fan above the stove to try to mitigate that, but then you guys in Twitchland would not be able to hear anything other than a really horrifyingly powerful whooshing noise. Okay. This bacon is getting there. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw my chopped up green beans into this pan. There we go. All right. Ooh, that is definitely smoking. I'm very sorry about this. Okay. I have moved the camera. Hello. I have moved the camera so that hopefully you can hear me over this very loud fan. Let me know in the chat if it would be better for me to just mute the microphone so you don't have to deal with it. Actually, I think I'll just mute it now. Hello. Sorry I had to mute the camera for so long. Um, the bird made the oven smoke super hard, and I wanted to turn the fan on the highest level so that it wouldn't smoke up my house. But the bird's out of the oven now. It looks beautiful. I just need to finish the potatoes, and then things will be good to go. I've left the back door open as well as the window behind me in case there's still some residual smoke. Um, but we should be good for now. I am incredibly sorry if the smoke alarm still goes off and y'all have to deal with it. Uh, Give me just one sec and we will make some potatoes. Okay. We got Step 1, mash those potatoes. Step 2, add some cream and some butter. Keep adding cream and butter until it reaches the consistency you want. Man, I was so stressed out there for a sec. I am so glad I got through this without the fire alarm going off. Also, hello, Ryan, I miss you. I miss hanging out with you and Marty so much. And the whole fam. I'm sure your mom probably told you that I texted her Happy Thanksgiving. Okay. Some salt. Some peppers. And some garlic powder because I do not feel like crushing any more garlic today. And add a little bit more cream to this. I feel like mashed potatoes are one of those things you don't really need a recipe for. Like, boil potatoes, add cream to it, and mash it up until it's the right consistency. Potatoes. Okay. All right. I'm gonna get a little bit fancy with this, so bear with me. Oop. It's gonna be a surprise, so I'm gonna angle the camera back up. I'm pretty sure I texted your mom before I messaged my mother-in-law, but I did message my mother-in-law like right after I texted your mom. I was like, who else should I contact today? All right. The potatoes are going in the oven for a couple of minutes to make sure they stay hot. The last thing, all right, the last thing I need to make is some gravy. Ah. I'm gonna be lazy about it because I don't know how to make from scratch gravy unless I have the right amount of like animal fat to do it with. And because of how small that hen is, I can't really get the right kind of fat out of it. So I'll be right back. So I'm just gonna be lazy and use one of these. I'm pretty sure my family made gravy from a packet like this for most of my childhood, so like whatever. Let's not be too worried about it. All right. So now I just have to do this until it thickens up and becomes gravy. I forgot about my iced coffee. Yes. I promise I didn't go anywhere to get this iced coffee. I just took the leftover coffee from my French press and put it in a cup with some ice and extra creamer. I almost asked Jessica to bring me some coffee because she had to work this morning anyway. But I did not because I didn't want to be rude. I am really excited because once all of this is done, I'm going to plate it all up and make it excessively fancy looking. And then I can take pictures for my Instagram and Twitter. Though a weird thing is happening with my Instagram, it will let me log in to the account I made to share pictures of my cats, but it won't let me log into my personal account, and so I'm not sure what I need to do to fix that. Though maybe I can just start another Instagram connected to my account for Peanut and make that my official Dork Apocalypse Instagram. That way my YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram will all be branded with the same name. Alright, this is thickening up and getting a little bit darker. I'm sorry to any professional chefs who might look at this video and be mad at me for using turkey gravy out of a packet, but I did a whole bunch of other stuff from scratch. I even made sourdough. I made so many sourdoughs. I made six loaves of sourdough this week, which really only means 2 batches or 3 batches, but still. I did 3 batches of sourdough and 1 batch of regular bread. I also made some miniature pumpkin pies, but I didn't make the pie dough, the pie crust from scratch, because that's one of the few things I haven't quite mastered yet. Alright, this is turning into gravy. It's almost done. It smells so good. Okay. This gravy is at the consistency that I want it. I'm going to take it off the heat. I'm just going to sit there for a minute. I am going to set up some... Sorry, let me shut this window. There we go. Okay. I'm going to set up a fancy surprise. I don't want you to see what I'm doing. So we're gonna do this. All right. Excellent. Okay. I've done it. Alright, so I set up a cool thing. I'm gonna reverse the camera around so that you can see what I've done. I'm very proud of this. Okay, so here we have my Thanksgiving spread. Clearly, it is far too much food for just one person. That's okay. That just means I'll have plenty of leftovers. I am extremely entertained at the look of this very small bird surrounded by this surprising amount of food. But I'm really proud of myself. I made all of the things that I intended to, and I only fucked it up a little bit. Yeah. It looks really good. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and sign off so that I can enjoy some of this delicious food that I spent an hour and a half cooking. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for hanging out with me while I cooked and stuff. I will share pictures in all of the places. So, bye. Have a good night. I love you.